Welcome everyone to the omniverse of Nick and part 3 to What If Cliffjumper Survived. Now, before we get into today's episode, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the omniverse of Nick so you can help me make this channel bigger, better, and get more awesome stories pumping out. Makes me happy, which will in turn make you guys happy. You guys know the drill by this point. With all that out of the way, let's get into the third part of this story. Now, in the last part, we closed off with Cliffjumper and RC finding, on a scouting mission, a all too familiar ship. They both look at each other because even Cliff knows who this ship belongs to. But he tells RC before they really want to make sure they should scope the area and really brace themselves in case they know or want to be sure. And soon enough, they find the tree with the acid like RC did in canon. And now RC is like, yeah, it's definitely her. Arachnid. And Cliff is like, RC, you gotta keep yourself composed because he was there the day Tailgate was murdered. He saved her with Bumblebee, and RC is just looking down, remembering, and yeah. But Cliff says RC's gotta pull herself together, and that he is still here. And look at what they've done as partners. They will find Arachnid, and they will avenge Tailgate, but they gotta be smart about it. They can't let anger over the loss of a comrade get to their heads and ruin what could be putting Arachnid down for good. So, he just tells RC they're gonna keep up with this mission, they're gonna find Arachnid wherever she is, and they're gonna do what they came out here to do along with that, but they gotta keep themselves composed, and they gotta do it together. And with that, RC agrees, and the two set out on two separate sides of the forest. RC, on one side, finds Arachnid about to feast on a human, and she has the same first fight with her as she does in canon, with the fight mostly kind of being even, but RC pretty much taking the high ground before Jack canonically stepped in. Meanwhile, Cliffjumper on the other side approaches the ship and sees the Energon and just, boom, blows up the ship. And Arachnid sees the explosion and she's like, no. And with that, she's perfectly distracted for RC. And RC just continues to pummel on her, and soon enough, Cliff arrives on the scene, even though RC really doesn't need help. And now, Arachnid knows who blew up her ship. And with that, she curses to get revenge and drills down underground and retreats from Cliff and RC. And with that, Cliff and RC know that they haven't won, but they did. So they beat Arachnid, but they're still gonna have to watch out for her in the future. And with that, they go back to base. Soon enough, we get to the episode where Optimus gets the Cybonic Plague and has to be saved. And this time, along with B and RC, Cliff goes to the Khan's warship so that way they can try and find a way to get Optimus help. And soon enough, they come across Megatron, and RC and Cliff both aim their weapons like to finish Megatron. But Ratchet mentions that Megatron might be the only one to help get Optimus back to the way he was, and B offers, like in canon, to enter Megatron's brain and find out. And he does. And soon enough, Megatron inside his own head realizes Bumblebee is real, gives him the formula, escapes after being tricked into Bumblebee's consciousness without anybody knowing, and RC, in one of the coolest moments of her character, shoots at Megatron's lifeless body in stasis and escapes through the ground bridge. Cliff? Oh, since he's there, When B and RC escape, Cliff takes a shot of his own, straight at Starscream's face. So, yeah, this not only puts the attention on Megatron, who's just been shot his lifeless body since we know where he went, but now Starscream has to be cared for attention with a shot directly at his face. So now Knockout and Soundwave have to tend to both things, which isn't too big of a deal for Starscream, but they do have to worry about both problems, so it's a bit of a bother. Meanwhile, Megatron is in Bumblebee's consciousness and finds the Dark Energon, but it's at a new base and Cliff's around and there's no human, Raphael. So even with those very small changes, it means that regardless, Megatron comes back. There's nothing stopping that. So, Megatron comes back, and he punishes Starscream something fierce, as we know he loves to do. And, on one hand, he should be furious at Starscream for wasting the opportunity after he hears about the scraplets and what they had been uncovering about what happened to the Autobots, how they wasted such perfect opportunities like Starscream did when he had that chance to kill Cliffjumper before he came back the first time. But on the other hand, the Autobots have had just as many downgrades as the cons. Well, they kind of did in canon, sometimes one side more than the other. But point is, Starscream's punishment of what Megatron gave him in canon and here, since that wouldn't change, is punishment enough. And Starscream's just left to vent and stew on this until Megatron leaves. And that's when Starscream acts with the shard he pulled from Megatron's chest to not only revive Skyquake and get his revenge, but to empower himself. So, eventually the Autobots pick up on this. And while RC would be on bridge duty, Cliff is there. And since they have a new base, which they know where it is, they bridge to the location of which this origination of Dark Energon's coming from, but they're not worried about bridging back since they could just get back. So, the whole Team Prime goes. Starscream's arm is shot off by Prime, and he manages to, even though there's no humans for a distraction point, he manages to still escape, and actually with his arm. And there's not going to be 2 ground bridges because, number one, there's no humans. Number two, there really wouldn't be a need for the bots to open another ground bridge because, one, there's no bots here to speak of, and even if Fowler knew how to activate the ground bridge, there wouldn't be a need at this point. So, nothing's stopping the Autobots from seeing and eventually having to confront the Terracon, the undead Skyquake. Will they be able to beat the Skyquake since they didn't fight him in canon? Or will they lose to this monstrous behemoth?
Why am I asking you all these questions?
Find out in the next episode on the Omniverse of Nick. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.